Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a Summer TBR and a Summerween TBR, and this is going to be a doozy. I have so many books, so we're just going to hop into it. Let's go ahead and start with the Summerween prompts. So there are 4 prompts for Summerween related to books, and one of them is kind of just a prompt about reading a book at night. So I'm going to leave that one up to whatever I'm kind of in the mood to read at the time. So for the haunt one, which is to have the word haunt in the title of the book, I actually struggled with this, even though mysteries and thrillers, you think that would be easy, but I kind of found one. You'll see. So this one's called Be My Ghost, a Haunted Haven Mystery. So technically it's kind of like the subtitle of like the mystery series, but it's part of the title, so I'm counting it. This is written by Carol J. Perry, and I'm really interested in this. I think this will be fun. It also has the cute like Halloween pumpkin here. So this one sounds like a blast. It actually takes place right before Halloween, which I feel like is perfect for this challenge. Basically, our main character, Maureen, is having a lot of trouble in life right now. She has recently, looks like she's hit a career snag because the department store that she works at is a sportswear buyer, declares bankruptcy, and then her golden retriever Finn has lost his way as a guide dog because he's too friendly, so they can't take him like further in his training, so Maureen ends up adopting him. However, she's struggling just to collect like unemployment to get enough money to cover her bills, and she's actually at risk of losing her place in Boston. Some luck strikes, however, when she gets an inheritance and she is able to move to Florida, to this small, like, charming little town. And she also inherits a charming old inn, which she decides to, like, renovate and start to run. However, she gets more than she bargained for because there's actually a dead body on the property. So that starts the Cozy Mystery series. I love the Golden Retriever. I love that we have some haunting spookiness with the haunted hotel. And I like that it's in Florida because I feel like that's kind of fun for, like, a summer mystery. So that one is my first pick. So my pick for the slasher, I don't do horror. I can't handle horror. It's too much for me. So I was looking into something as like a thriller option, and for slasher, I basically Googled the definition, and it's basically a spree of killings, usually done with a knife. So I was like, okay, what can I find for that? And I looked at my physical TBR cart, and I found The Dante Club by Matthew Pearl, and this basically involves 19th century Boston. And there is a spree of killings, each inspired by the hellish visions of Dante's Inferno. So you have the Dante Club versus like a detective who solved this, and that includes Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Oliver Wendell Holmes, James Russell Lowell, and J.T. Fields, who are all renowned scholars with the skills to decipher the devilish clues. But can this band of bookish gentlemen outwit a crafty killer? Now, I saw kind of mixed reviews for this on Goodreads. Like, it didn't seem to have... It was, like, very hit or miss. People either, like, loved it or hated it. So I'm not so sure about this, but this book does involve a spree of killings, so that seems to be appropriate for the slasher prompt. Excited for that. I've never read anything by any of these authors, so this will be new to me. For the Halloween like colors on the cover, I picked 15 Minutes of Flame, a Nantucket candle maker mystery by Kristen Breecher, and I picked this up in my used mystery book haul. I'll link it above if you want to check it out, because I purchased like over 20 books for only a couple dollars. It was like this massive sale, and I found this in the clearance bin as well, and I was excited because it has you got the Halloween, it actually takes place during Halloween, you have the beautiful pumpkins and fall leaves and all this color. I love it. So this is the book 3 in the series, I believe. I haven't read this series before, but it is one that you should be able to jump into at any point from what I can tell. Our main character is Stella Wright, and she's the one who runs the Nantucket like candle shop and is candle maker, and one of her friends, it's Halloween time, one of her friends inherits this like old creaky like property, and they decide to host like a haunted house there for Halloween. Super fun. So while they're going through the haunted house to, you know, make it over and stuff, they actually find the skeletal remains of a Quaker woman from the 18th century. So this is like an old cold case kind of mystery, which I really like. And as Stella digs into the past of this woman, she finds out there's like a murderous love triangle and everything that might have been happening, and she's starting to look into, was this what happened to the woman? So I'm really excited for this. I like cold case mysteries like this, and sounds fun. It looks like a good, just like a nice, really Halloween cozy mystery. And it sounds like Stella has a good network of friends in the area who have like a long history of their family being in Nantucket, so she can kind of seek them out to get additional information and insight into the case, since it is a cold case. So I'm excited for this. The cat in the cover is really cute and it looks like a fun Halloween cozy. This one I'm very excited for. So this is a thriller. I've been on hold with my library for this for like 2 months and it's finally here, so I'm very excited. It's The Chateau, a novel by Jaclyn Glodis, and the premise for this, so good. So basically you have picturesque Provence, and the lady of the chateau, Seraphine, has opened its elegant doors to her granddaughter Darcy and 3 friends. 20 years ago, the girls would all come there for like the summer, and they'd like, you know, come and spend weekends there, like a very luxurious place. And it sounds like each of these women have a hidden reason for returning to the estate after all these years. Following a wild evening celebration, Seraphine, the lady of the chateau, is brutally murdered. On top of this, shocking crime has occurred, but we have an Instagram account that pops up and starts to like leave threatening messages to the girls, and also like threatening to come out with their secrets and like tell who did this, and like exposing snapshots from their intimate moments at the chateau, which is really creepy. So now the girls have to solve the mystery before it's too late, before their secrets are revealed on this Instagram account, and also to avenge Seraphine. And they're all racing against the clock, but they're also starting to suspect one another, because who would have had better access than one of them? So I'm really excited for this. The setting for this is what gets me. The chateau. Like that's all you had to do to like get me to want to read this. I'm really excited. Another one I'm really excited about that BookTube has really been hyping up is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. And the little synopsis here: what happens when love pushes you to the edge? Basically, like a husband and wife live on this the cliff sides above the ocean, and they have like a little cottage up there, but unfortunately the cliffside is a popular area for people to like jump to end their lives. And one night the husband actually tries to like talk someone down from jumping, like to prevent it, but the wife learns later that he actually knew this victim who did end up jumping, and she starts to suspect, did he push her? Did he have a reason to? Because she didn't like disclose this connection to her in any way, and she's kind of suspicious of it. So it sounds interesting. It's like a domestic thriller. I'm really excited for it. I love the ocean side. I think that'll be kind of perfect for summer, and I've heard some really good things about this, so I'm excited. Another one that I've had so many of you recommend to me is the Books by the Bay mystery series, and this is Book 1, A Killer Plot, written by Ellery Adams. It's my first Ellery Adams cozy mystery. I'm very excited because she seems to be very prolific in the industry. And this just looks like the perfect book. I mean, look at the lighthouse on the cover. It's by the bay. Perfect. It takes place in Oyster Bay, North Carolina. So this has an interesting premise. Basically, we have our main character, Olivia, and after all this time, she's returned home to Oyster Bay. But her return is as sudden as her departure was. So there's some kind of reason, maybe she ran away years ago. So she's back, and she's a writer. She's got writer's block, and she's convinced, a little reluctantly, to join the Bayside Book Writers Club there to get her creative wheels and juices turning again. So she joins the club, but shortly after, bodies start to turn up around town with haiku poems written next to them. And so anybody who has literary skills, like the book club that she's a part of, the book writing club she's a part of, are immediate suspects because of their connection to writing, of course. So she starts to dig into the case. The dog on here looks adorable. It doesn't say the dog's name on here. But I'm very excited. So Olivia's trying to catch the killer before she or anyone else she knows meets an untimely demise. This looks like the perfect setting for a summer cozy mystery series, and I'm really excited. This is gonna be great. I just feel like this is gonna be a winner. I can feel it in my bones. Another cozy I'm really excited for is Soul of a Killer by Abby Collette. This is book 2 in a Books and Biscuit mystery series. I read book 1 last year, and this one came out in the fall, and book 1 was really great. It was a definite standout for me in terms of cozy mystery series. Look at I love the covers. Abby Collette has the ice cream parlor shop mysteries as well, and her covers are always so distinct with their color schemes, and I love it. Look at the spine. So beautiful. So you basically have Keaton and Kobe. So they were separated as twins when they were born, and Kobe basically grew up in a foster home with Mama Zola being his foster mom, whereas Keaton grew up in a more middle-class lifestyle, adopted into a family. So as adults, they actually reconnect, and they decide to open this place together that sells both books, because Keaton was a librarian And Kobe loves to cook, so he actually opens like a cafe side of the bookshop. And he's cooking this lot of southern food. It sounds so good. I've never wanted to try fried okra before, but I really want to after reading book 1. And basically this one, I'm not sure what season this takes place in technically, but it sounds like spring or summer to me because they're going to like a potluck picnic with Mama Zola, and who's the foster mom. And Mama Zola packs some kind of dish and it ends up killing someone, like it might have been poisoned or something, and she's a suspect in the murder. So Kobe and Keaton are at it again to solve the mystery. The last book in the series, book 1, was excellent. The reveal and like the clues that led up to it were just so good. I loved it. I thought the detail Abby Collette added to book 1 was excellent, so I cannot wait for book 2. I just bought it because I've been really excited to read it, so I'm so excited for this. So recently I talked about reading The Other Woman by Sandie Jones. I talked about that in my May reading wrap-up, which I'll link above if you want to check it out. But some of you recommended The First Mistake by Sandie Jones to me, and The Other Woman is her debut, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was a really solid read. It was like high entertainment value for sure. The characters were a little weak in my opinion, but I loved the quality of the writing, the pacing, like it was very entertaining. So I'm excited for this. This is another domestic thriller, and it sounds like we basically have Alice, who is the wife, and life has never been better for her. She's got her second husband, a great business, 2 children, a beautiful home. And her husband says that Alice knows that life could have been different if her first husband had lived, but Nathan's arrival into her life gives her back the happiness she craved. On top of that, she also has a best friend named Beth, and Beth has been there through it all for her. You know, the ups, the downs, all of it. Beth has been her rock. Unfortunately, Nathan, her husband, starts to act strangely, and Alice turns to her best friend Beth for help, but she learns that Beth might actually have a secret of her own and that maybe her trust was in the wrong place all along. So a very like psychological thriller. I'm excited for this. I've really been reading a lot more domestic thrillers in more recent, like the more recent months, and I'm getting into it. Although I have to say, it really makes you like, you have to like disconnect your brain from it a little bit, because otherwise I'd be paranoid about everyone in my life. If I lived like one of these thrillers, they're terrifying, but they're fun to read. So I'm excited for this because I did really like her debut. So I can only imagine this will get better, and some of you said that this was your favorite from Sandie Jones, so I'm especially excited. Another one we have is On Spine of Death by Tamara Barry, and this is the By the Books Cozy Mystery series. This is book 2 in the series. Book 1 was fantastic. Tess is a thriller writer, and she has moved her teen daughter Gertrude out to her grandfather's cabin that she's inherited by this like small town out in the middle of nowhere. As you can kind of tell, the cabin's very isolated, and it takes place in Winthrop, Washington. So they have this rustic cabin. They had no Wi-Fi in the first book. However, they did get Wi-Fi in this book, so her teenage daughter is feeling a little more at home now with the Wi-Fi. The premise for this is so good. I'm so excited. So Tess finds out that along with her grandfather's cabin, she also inherited his old hardware store. So she decides to renovate the hardware shop and make it into a bookstore. Okay, great. So we already have a protagonist who's a writer. Then we have a bookstore. I mean, I'm already there. But when they're renovating the place, they find skeletal remains, and the town becomes convinced that her grandfather was a serial killer. So now Tess has to investigate and prove her grandfather's innocence. I love the premise for this so much. Again, I love like those old cold cases. This sounds so fascinating, and the punchy writing style for this is fantastic. I really love this. If you like Finley Donovan, the kind of pacing of that, how it's very fast and the characters are a little more sassy, I think you'd like the series. But if you also read Finley Donovan but found it to be too graphic or not cozy, which it's not cozy, it definitely isn't cozy, but I think some people are under the impression it is cozy, or it's marketed that way, which is unfortunately misleading. This would be a good alternative to the series, because you have somebody who the main character, she's a writer. She's definitely very vocal. She has some really good banter with a lot of characters in book 1, and I really enjoyed that. And she's also a mother, so I feel like there's some overlap that you might enjoy this if you're looking for something cozier or cleaner than Finley Donovan, or if you like Finley Donovan but you don't mind cozier. I feel like the By the Book series is a really great one. I'm so excited for book 2. It's really good. Book 1 was a hit. We have a couple more books, guys. This one is a gothic kind of thriller book from what I understand. It's called The Hacienda, and it's been described as Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca in this debut supernatural suspense novel set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence. I love Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It's one of my absolute favorite classics or books of all time. It's just amazing. It's an amazing book. It was really my first gothic book in general, and I love it, and I've read more of her works since and just adored them. So when I read this one, I was like, this sounds interesting. So it's by Isabel Cañas, and I'm really excited. So we have our main character, Beatrice. Basically, her father was executed and her home was destroyed during the overthrow of the Mexican government during the Mexican War of Independence. So when she gets a proposal from this handsome man, she ignores the rumors about what happened to his first wife because he's got the perfect home, he's got the money, he's got the wealth, and she wants that security. So she takes the proposal, moves in to this gorgeous house, which I'm assuming is what's on the cover here. Like, look at this scene. I don't know what time of year this takes place necessarily, but it looks like summer to me, or at least it takes place in a desert, which I associate with summer, so it works for me. So after her husband returns to work in the capital, she's left alone at the house, the Hacienda, and she starts to have these visions and starts to hear things. She starts to feel like she's being watched, and her husband's sister like kind of brushes it off. She's like, no, you're crazy, like that's not right. But her husband's sister won't go in the house at night, which, actions speak louder than words. And then there's like other like staff members who are burning incense to like ward off spirits and things, and Beatrice is starting to really worry. She starts to look into the first wife's demise, all that sort of thing. I love Rebecca. I cannot wait for this. I've heard great things about this. The cover art on this is it's so incredibly gorgeous. I cannot wait. Absolutely cannot wait. Next, I have one from a cozy mystery series that I've been meaning to start for a long time, so I'm very excited to have this. It's called On Borrowed Crime by Kate Young. This is a Jane Doe book club mystery, book 1 in the series. I think like 2 or 3 books are out in the series now, so it's relatively new, but I'm very excited to finally be starting it. So this one takes place in Georgia. Our main character is Lila, and life's been pretty good so far. She's had an idyllic life. She works as a receptionist at like her uncle's firm. She's a part of the Jane Doe book club, which is a book club and also like a true crime, like cold case obsessed group that meets. Like, so she's got lots of friends. Her friend Melanie is on vacation. Things start to go a little sour though when her ex actually ends up like hooking up with her cousin. Like, awkward. That's awkward. And unfortunately, she finds a suitcase at her steps. And in the suitcase is actually one of the members of the Jane Doe book club. So one of her friends is found dead. And the police are investigating, but they're kind of like looking at it like, well, she had a heart condition. I don't know. But it's like, well, how do you end up in a suitcase? I mean, really, police? Like, I know they have to test for everything, but how would someone end up in a suitcase? I don't know. Point aside is that Lila discovers that the police discover that the suitcase actually belongs to her best friend Melanie, who just came back from vacation, and now the police are after her best friend and suspecting her of the crime. So Lila's on the case. She's got to solve this. Her and the Jane Doe book club actually have a real life case that they don't want to become cold, and they're on the case, and I'm really excited for this. I love the idea of the book club. I love the idea of the sleepy Georgia town. I'm so ready for this. Like, what could go wrong? This book sounds so good. I'm so excited. This next one has everything I ever wanted in a thriller that I never knew I needed, but I need it. And I saw this on BookTube and I was like, well, I'm checking that out. And that is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell. This takes place in a giant, like, estate, like, castle, and it's a baking competition. I love baking. If you've watched any of my reading vlogs, I'll link some up above if you want to check them out. I usually bake or cook or both. I love cooking and baking. It's like my second biggest hobby after reading, basically. And when I saw this, I was like, well, yes. And the blurb on the front actually describes it as the delicious combination of Clue and the Great British Bake Off kept me turning the pages all night. I love Clue. I mean, have you guys seen the Clue movie? I love the Clue movie so much. I think that movie is like one of the greatest of all time. It's one of my favorites. I don't know if I have the world's best taste because I don't watch a lot of movies, but that's one of my favorites. And so this one says, when someone turns up dead on the set of TV's hottest baking competition, the contestants must band together in search of a killer before one of them is the next elimination. I am so ready. It's described as a sharp and suspenseful thriller for mystery buffs and avid bakers alike. This is her debut novel with a brilliant puzzle filled with shocking twists that will keep you turning pages late into the night. I am so excited. I can barely I keep tripping over my words. So this sounds absolutely incredible. A baking competition, a giant castle, Clue in the Great British Bake Off. I'm what could go wrong? I mean, besides the murder in the book, of course, but what else could go wrong? It sounds so good. Okay, I have 4 more books, and these are all ones that I don't have the physical copy for yet because I'm on hold with my library right now and or they haven't come out yet. So I'm going to go over these quickly. We have Ashes to Ashes, Crust to Crust by Mindy Quigley. This is book 2 in the Deep Dish Mystery Series. I recently read the first book in this series, which is hidden behind the stack here, but that is 6 Feet Deep Dish, and I loved it. This was an excellent cozy mystery, like a solid 4 stars, really entertaining. Butterball the cat has my heart, absolutely. And as you can see, Butterball the cat is heavily featured on the second cover. From what I can tell, it looks like this will take place during spring or summer based on the cover, so that kind of fits the seasonal theme we're going for. And Delilah O'Leary is our main character. She's opened the pizza shop. She's a really passionate, kind of type A personality, which I can relate to. Really love her and her cat Butterball. And basically Delilah in this one is determined to win the Taste of Wisconsin culinary competition so she can win the cash prize to help keep her business afloat. And things are going okay until she finds out that her ex-fiance is actually cozying up with a juice bar owner in the area. And she's not thrilled about that. It's kind of awkward, but you know, so it goes. Unfortunately, one of the juice bar owner, Jordan's customers, is actually poisoned by one of her juice bar creations, and Delilah gets involved in the case. So I'm so excited for this. I cannot wait for more Butterball. I mean, I can't wait for all of it because the book in general is just solid across the board, but I can't wait for more Butterball. Let's be real. That is one of the reasons I'm reading it. I can't wait. The pizza, the descriptions, Delilah is a great character. I'm excited for this. Next, we have one that I talked about in my most anticipated summer thriller releases. I'll link both part 1 and part 2 to that video above if you want to check out new summer thrillers that are coming out. This one is called She Started It by Sian Gilbert, and this is described as being great for fans of Lucy Foley and Leanne Moriarty. It is a hot, twisty summer thriller about a group of women going on like a bachelorette party in the Caribbean. I have to read this blurb because listen to this. It's Lord of the Flies meets And Then There Were None, both Instagram and Too Much Prosecco, because it is a Caribbean bachelorette party with this group of friends. So there's the isolation trope, the new location, the Caribbean, which is perfect for summer, and I can be more excited for this. This just sounds like everything I want in a thriller, basically. The next one I'm really excited to be getting from the library is The Good Ones by Polly Stewart, and this involves our main character, Nicola, and she's returning home to her Appalachian hometown. When she was a child, her friend Lauren actually disappeared, and her friend mysteriously vanished from the home with no signs of a struggle, but leaving behind a bloody washcloth. So all these years later, Nicola's coming back to the town to try to look into her friend's case, but it's really strange to her because all of the friends and people in the area have kind of forgotten about Lauren. They've moved on. So Nicola's in this place where she's kind of trying to move on, but trying to figure out what happened to her friend, and she's trying to unearth secrets that the town doesn't necessarily want unearthed. And the cover itself is just screams summer, so I absolutely had to give this one a go. And then last but not least, this is going to be my first Andrea Bartz, which I've heard she's a great thriller writer, so I'm very excited. This is called The Spare Room. This will be coming out later this summer. And so this one involves our main character, Kelly. She's 31 years old, and unfortunately she's just lost her boyfriend and her job. And the lockdowns and all of that have hit. So she is desperate to get out of the apartment she's sharing with her ex-boyfriend because of course that would be very awkward, very tight, very constrained. And she actually had rekindled a friendship with her friend who is now a best-selling author, and her friend owns this like mansion with her husband. They're both very well off, and they invite Kelly to stay with them because they're like, hey, we have plenty of room, you know, come stay with us. So Kelly takes them up on the offer. She's very excited, and while she's staying with them, she actually ends up developing feelings for both her friend and her friend's husband, which is interesting. And it seems that they actually return her feelings. They invite her to kind of join them in things, and I have to say, I'm a little nervous. I don't know how risque this is going to be. If it's like super risque, that might just not be for me personally, like taste-wise, but we'll see. The premise otherwise is really interesting, and that is that the friend and her husband say that Kelly's like the first person they've ever done this with, and when Kelly's staying there, she realizes that there's a sign that other women have been there before her, but she doesn't know what happened to them. So here she is, she's like, you know, isolated with this couple. She's like her only contact to the outside world, basically, and she's discovering that the person who was staying there before her, she doesn't know what happened to them. So it sounds like an interesting premise. I'm a little concerned about it being maybe a little too much in that aspect for me, but we'll see. If nothing else, I can always skim through a couple pages. And yeah, I'm excited. This one sounds, I love the premise. I think the theme with this is that we have big castles or anything with like a big chateau or a big home like that. I love that kind of isolated, it's in this home, something is happening in this home, it's somebody on the grounds kind of idea. I like the isolation trope. So very excited. Thank you guys so much for watching my summer TBR. Please let me know down below, what are your must reads this summer? Give me at least 2 or 3 books that you're excited to be reading. I love hearing your recommendations. That's how I get some of my ideas for the TBRs that I make, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do post new book content every week on this channel, especially within the mystery and thriller genre. So if you like those genres, you'll definitely like the content on this channel. I hope you hit subscribe. I'll see you guys soon, and have a fantastic rest of your day and a good start to your summer. Bye!